I was standing outside a luxury car dealership in downtown Austin, just soaking in the moment, the kind that makes you feel like you finally made it. My new yellow sports car was parked at the curb, gleaming under the sun. Cameras were flashing, influencers whispering, everyone wanting a piece of the story. I was 26, wearing a tailored maroon suit, feeling like I'd cracked the code of life raised in foster care, built a tech startup from scratch, sold it for millions before I even turned 25. Alone, yet, but respected, envied, even admired. Then she screamed, "My son!" It cut through the crowd like a knife. I turned everyone did. A barefoot woman, older, black, hair streaked gray, and pulled into a loose twist, pushed through the people like a force of nature. Her clothes were worn, frayed at the edges, stained with time. But she didn't care. She looked exhausted, hungry, maybe even homeless but determined. She stumbled straight into me and wrapped her arms around my chest before anyone could react. "You're my boy," she whispered through tears, her face buried against me. "I know those eyes. You're him." My arms were still at my sides, frozen. I looked down at her confused, embarrassed, kind of stunned. "Ma'am, I think you've got the wrong guy." But she didn't let go. "They took you from me. You were a baby. My baby," she sobbed, her voice cracked and raw. "I never stopped looking. You look just like your father. They said you were gone. But I knew. I knew I'd find you." Security started to step in, but I raised my hand without thinking. Her body was shaking, but she kept going, eyes locked on mine. "Your name was Emmanuel. I named you after my grandfather. They took you when I couldn't afford a gallon of milk one bad week. And they took everything from me." People around us started whispering, filming on their phones, laughing, speculating. "She's crazy," someone muttered. "Why would a white millionaire be your son?" I didn't respond. I couldn't. My chest was tight, heart pounding, and I felt something. Not just pity, not confusion. Something deeper. Something I didn't want to admit. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept seeing her face, the tears, the tremble in her hands, the way she held me like she was anchoring herself to reality. I'd always known I was adopted. It wasn't a secret. But the agency had sealed everything: no names, no photos, no stories. Just parents unfit and a file stamped closed. But she wasn't guessing. She knew. So I went back the next morning. She was sitting on the ground by the dealership, back against the wall, holding something in her lap, a crumpled photo and a broken locket. When she saw me, her whole face changed. Not sure she should smile, stand, cry, or run. "You came back," she whispered. "I want to talk," I said, and sat beside her. She handed me the photo. It was so faded you could barely make it out, but it showed a black woman in a hospital gown holding a baby. Her voice was shaking as she said, "That was the last time I held you." My throat closed up. "Why did they take me?" I asked. I had no one. I was working 2 jobs. I left you with a neighbor for 2 hours, and someone called CPS. They took you that day. I fought, but I didn't have a lawyer. They said I was unfit, said you'd be better off. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "I tried to find you, but everything was sealed. Then, one day, I saw you on TV, that suit, that car, and those eyes. You have your father's eyes." I looked at her. "But I'm white." She nodded. "Your father was blonde, blue-eyed. We met when I was cleaning offices downtown. Fell in love. He left when I told him I was pregnant." I just sat there, silent. Everything I thought I knew about myself started crumbling. Then I asked the only question that made sense. "Would you take a DNA test?" She nodded without hesitation. "I don't want money. I don't want fame. I just want to know if you're mine and if I'm yours." And damn, that hit something deep. 2 days later, I walked into a private lab. My hand was shaking, not from fear, but from hope. Like, what if she was telling the truth? What if all those years, I wasn't alone? What if someone had been searching for me? The result came in an envelope that felt heavier than it should have. I sat alone in a sterile consultation room, staring at 2 vials on the table, one hers, one mine. The geneticist slid a paper toward me. I scanned it, skipping straight to the bottom where the number sat. Parentage probability, 99.9%. She was my mother. Later that day, I found her sitting in the same spot. She had a blanket around her shoulders and was counting coins at her palm. She didn't see me until I was kneeling beside her. "Julian," she said, startled. I handed her the folded paper. I know now. Her hands flew to her mouth. You're my mother, I said. I'm your son. She didn't speak, just wept, reaching for me again. This time, I didn't freeze. I hugged her back. And right there, kneeling on the sidewalk with this woman everyone else had ignored or mocked, I felt something I'd never felt before. I felt home. News spread fast. Photos of us holding hands outside the dealership went viral. Some called it fake, a PR stunt. But I posted the DNA report myself, full page, no blur. Caption read, "This is my mother. She didn't abandon me. The world did." And that was just the beginning. I didn't just give her a home, I gave her back her name. Clara Matthews. She moved into my penthouse at first, got proper care, therapy, clean clothes, but most importantly, peace. I wasn't rescuing her. I was returning to her. In an interview later, someone asked me what made me angriest. I didn't even hesitate. That no one believed her. That being poor made her invisible. That the system took me, then buried her in guilt. But mostly that I walked through life thinking I was unloved when the one person who loved me most was out there suffering. Clara never asked for more. But I built something for her, a community center called the Clara Foundation, for mothers who lost their children to the system, and for kids who grew up with lies instead of truth. In the lobby, I hung a framed photo. It's the moment she first hugged me. Her eyes are shut tight, tears running down her cheeks. Beneath it, a quote, "Not all angels wear white. Some wear tired eyes, torn clothes, and carry decades of pain." She still calls me Emmanuel. I never asked her to stop, because now I understand I'm not just Julian Hayes' tech success story. I'm Emmanuel, a son who was lost and found again. What would you have done if it were you? If the person you needed most showed up dressed in the world's judgment, would you have seen her or walked away? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about justice, forgiveness, and the ones we leave behind.